Good morning. North Korea holds its 13th Supreme People's Assembly, electing a new vice chairman of its National Defense Commission. But where is its leader, Kim Jong-un? ASEAN member states and its allies, including South Korea and the U.S., gather in Seoul to discuss defense and security-related issues in the Asia-Pacific region. Hallyu stars going global with fan clubs spreading around the world as well. Fans flash their support for their idols. It's blue crab season with an overflowing number of catches rushing in. The Korean way to go with crabs, and Matthew Chung has the itch to put his own twist. On Korea Today, Friday, September 26th, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Oh Jin-ju with Kim Young and Kim Min-jung.
Good morning, everyone. The weekend is here, and if you happen to be in Seoul and if you happen to like live small octopuses, there's a festival that will kick off starting tomorrow on small live octopuses. How interesting.
Right. A food culture festival is starting tomorrow and in Mugyo-dong and Tadong. And you know Mugyo-dong is famous for these small octopuses.
The spicy small
right,
octopus,
and especially live octopuses I like.
They have
all
the
know that.
nakji 볶음 dish, which is the spicy one. The Mugyo-dong area is famous for their super spicy. We're talking it'll make you sweat until you bleed type of spiciness.
That's right. And one operative word to enjoy these live octopuses is chew. You have to chew on it like you've never done before, because you can choke on this thing,
you ever
right?
have a situation where you don't chew it properly and it sticks right to your cheek, the inside of your cheek, right? Well, you don't want that kind of stuff happening. But for now, we'll jump to our top headline for this morning. North Korea held this year's second session of its Supreme People's Assembly, but it was a no-show for the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. At the 13th Assembly, widely regarded as Pyongyang's rubber stamp parliament, Hwang Byung-seo, the top political officer of the Korean People's Army, was elected as vice chairman of the Defense Commission, replacing Choi Ryong-hae, who had taken the position in the past parliamentary session in April. This was once the post held by Kim Jong-un's uncle, Chang Song-taek, who was charged with treason and executed in 2013. The North top leader, Kim Jong-un, who heads the commission, was absent in the meeting, fueling speculation about his health problems for the young leader. The second parliamentary session, bringing together some 680 delegates from across the country, also discussed the country's 12-year compulsory education system adopted in 2012, according to reports.
A special representative from the United Nations human rights body is set to arrive in Korea next week upon the invitation of Seoul to assess the level of racism and other forms of discrimination in the country. Special Rapporteur Mr. Mutuda Rutiere of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights will begin his week-long trip to Korea starting next Monday to meet with government officials, human rights activists, and various civic groups to evaluate the human rights situation in Korea pertaining to racial discrimination and equality. The results will be reported to the regular session of the UN Human Rights Council next year. In an interview ahead of his visit, Mr. Gutierrez said the trip will give him a better idea of what Seoul is doing to prevent and abolish discrimination.
This week, ASEAN member countries plus 8 other nations, including South Korea, the U.S., Japan, and China, gathered in Seoul to do their part in peacekeeping cooperation. Now, this event, dubbed the ASEAN Defense Ministers Plus meeting, is the only ministerial-level security forum in the Asia-Pacific region. And for more on this 3-day meeting, we're now joined by Dr. Kim Chul-woo from Korea Institute for Defense Analyses. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
So could you briefly tell us about this PKO meeting, which is being held for 3 days now?
ADMM is the Asian Defense Minister meeting. It's obvious. The important thing is plus. Which plus? From the Asia-Pacific countries, 8 major powers, including Korea, United States, Japan, and Russia, China, even India is participating. And they are talking about peacekeeping operations at Seoul. Seoul is becoming kind of a co-chair country. Out of the Asian countries, Cambodia and Seoul is kind of leading country. So this particular event at this moment is very important in terms of its peacekeeping role and sharing ideas and the non-traditional security matters. So in terms of PKO areas, Korea has participated over the last 20 years. So Korea has experience, and Korea even has a standing unit, standby unit, fully dedicated for these specific operations. So Korea is converging all the experience and future orientations. I think UN side, UN dispatched the head of the Department of UN Peacekeeping Operations. So I think in terms of PKO, this is kind of worldwide United Nations level big event.
So how is Korea contributing to the global peacekeeping efforts? We know that Korea has been sending troops to other nations since 1993 as peacekeeping forces. How is Korea doing in this field?
Korea has actively participated from the Sudan and Southern Sudan, Somalia, and at the Lebanon, and even in terms of human assistance and disaster relief areas in Haiti. So the spectrum has been so wide. On top of that, Korea has participated in the multinational peace operations like anti-piracy operations in Cheonghae unit. And so Korea's wide spectrum with all the multinational corporations and collaborations, Korea's experiences even at the UN level, active environment multinational forces experience, like Jaitun units from Iraq. So Korea's dedication and Korea's kind of soft power as a middle power. Particularly, Korea used to be international aid recipient country, but Korea is becoming aid donor country, as you know. So donor is not just the money, and the military can play a big role in that area. So such as Lebanon and Southern Sudan is a case in point. Without Korea's help, international peacekeeping or operations area is a big vacancies. So Korea is enhancing not only for the North Asian peace and security, but worldwide peace and security and even development. That's a big contribution.
Right. And there are currently tensions in the regions surrounding various issues such as North Korea's nuclear program and other historical and territorial matters. Could this meeting serve as an opportunity to somewhat ease these frosty ties among the nations involved?
Yes, I think that's a good point. Because in terms of a very hard topic, like nuclear issues and mysteries, it's very hard to talk. But non-traditional security matters, like peacekeeping operations and human assistance disaster relief areas, it's easy to talk. And you can verify the other counterparts, all the participating countries' real intentions. We can get rid of misunderstanding. It can boost up military level confidence building measures and confidence trust building measures. So I think it is very contributing to the verified and transparency issues even. So in that sense, Seoul is becoming the center of all the participating countries and contributions for the regional, and so I think it can relieve all the stresses we are currently experiencing. It's very contributing factor.
Right, and as you mentioned, on the trust that has been built through this meeting, experts believe that this meeting will develop into a consultative body when it comes to security issues in the Asia-Pacific region. How could Korea further contribute to this?
That's a good point also. Even Shangri-La Dialogue, Singapore and China and ADMM Plus is trying to be a main body for the kind of European-style, OSCE-style consultative body. So Korean National Defense Ministry is initiating for the last 3 years this coming end of October, Korea is convening another big international event, which is Seoul Defense Dialogue. So more than 23 countries participating, including United States and China and all the major powers. Asia Pacific wide, Korea is becoming international center for the regional Northeastern Peace and Security and Cooperation Center. So in terms of profound collaboration. Korea worldwide is watching over Seoul. What's happening in Seoul? Seoul Defense Dialogue and ADMM Plus, PKO, and even Shangri-La Dialogue. And all the international community is right time at this juncture for to have the new body of consultative kind of mechanism to enhance and systemize all the unnecessary disputes and conflicts. I think this is the great event. I think the ADMM Plus and PKO mission can have a stepping stone to make a limelight upcoming Seoul Defense Dialogue. I really,
and that will take place on October 29th.
Yes,
right.
indeed.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kim Chul-woo, for your insight today.
Thank you.
Happy Friday morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers. And parliamentary affairs continue to be in a state of paralysis nearly 1 month after a regular session was convened. And a plenary session is to kick off today. Now, will the rival parties be able to normalize parliamentary business today is the question on many of our minds here in Korea. Let's begin with this issue here on 동아일보. And it's at the top. The header says, all eyes on National Assembly today. Now, it remains unclear whether the main opposition party will end its boycott in time for today's plenary session without a deal over the special Seoul bill. Now, in the midst of all of this political wrangling, Assembly Speaker Chung Ih-hwa vowed to open a plenary session today with the authority bestowed on him by the law. Now, if we take a look at the sub-headlines, the most urgent job is passing 91 economy-related bills to pep up the sluggish economy. It has been a good 147 days with no bills having been passed. Now, the ruling party stance is that it will go ahead and open the plenary session, even if it has to do so alone. On the other hand, the opposition continues to resist, pledging to kick off vehement strife against the government if Speaker Jung chooses to use his power to put those bills to a vote. Now, moving on to 조선일보 for another domestic headline. Right here in the center, it says Deputy Prime Minister Choi voices support for pardoning convicted business leaders. Now, for a look at the sub-headlines, Korea's top economic policymaker, who is also the deputy prime minister, yesterday expressed his full support for the justice minister's recent controversial remark that the government needs to consider showing some mercy on business leaders convicted of crimes in order to help boost the lagging economy. On Wednesday, Justice Minister Hwang Kyo-won said in an interview with a local newspaper that the government needs to seriously think about showing some leniency for convicted CEOs if it can help turn the economy around. Now, of course, his remarks sparked controversy, and the Justice Minister later clarified that his stance on fair law enforcement remains unchanged and no preferential treatment will be granted to business leaders. But on this, Finance Minister Choi Kyung-hwan said he does agree with Hwang's opinion, although business people certainly should be punished for violating laws. He said it would not be helpful in reviving the economy if the laws are enforced too strictly. Now for an update on the whole situation on the pension law here for public officials. And this is on 중앙일보. And the header says, cut back on public servants' pension, harsher on higher-ranking officials. Now, Monday, I did mention a forum on the pension reform organized by the Saenuri Party and the Korean Pension Association that was canceled as unionized public workers blocked its proceedings. Well, if you take a look at the sub-headlines, the ruling party and the KPA are believed to be preparing a newly revised reform bill on this issue, which includes a function that will hold an income redistribution effect, just like the national pension. Now, this is to lessen the gap in the amount of pension a public official is to receive depending on rank and income. The plan is to cut the amount more for high-ranking officials than for lower-ranking officials. And the reform proposal is to be finalized within the next week. Finally, let's look at some business news for a look at the Mail Business newspaper. And we'll take a look at this on the yen. And the headline says the weak yen accelerates despite Japanese Prime Minister Abe's concerns. So the Japanese yen rose following Abe's comments about the economic impact of its fall to a 6-year low, adding to the sense of a halt this week in the dollar's record-breaking run since July. In this image, the pace of the yen slide is quite alarming. As you can see, the won-yen exchange rate was quoted at 952.07 won per 100 yen at a point in time yesterday afternoon, its lowest level in 6 years. And that was a look at your newspaper headlines for this Friday. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And now following are the stock numbers from Thursday.
And for a look at today's weather, as well as the peek into the weekend forecast, we'll now go to Chun Song-cho, who joins us from the outdoors with more. Good morning,
Good morning to you, Song-cho.
Good morning, guys. I'm reporting live from Yeouido. It is a continuation of a beautiful autumn weather here in Korea. We should all be able to embrace the breezy, sunny conditions outdoors today, as a high-pressure system in the northwest is giving us mostly clear blue skies nationwide, with just a bit of passing clouds from time to time. After the rain from Typhoon Fongwong swept across the nation a couple of days ago, the air has cleared up, improving visibility to over 20 kilometers. Also, because of this, the sun can be quite strong, making our afternoon weather warm. These pleasant weather conditions are expected to continue all the way till the end of this month, and October is when the autumn chill will really start to kick in. So like I said, embrace the weather while it lasts. Now moving over to Incheon for the Asian Games. Outdoor matches including golf and tennis are scheduled for today under mostly clear blue skies. And speaking of which, I'll be back later in the show to show you guys a special performance for the Incheon Asian for the Korean national team. So stay tuned for that. And now let's move on over to get a closer look at today's temperature readings. Cool and dry air blowing from the north is keeping our lows quite cool in the upper teens. But in the afternoon, daytime highs will crawl up due to the strong sun. Seoul and Daegu will be at 26 and Gwangju will be the warmest at 28 degrees Celsius. Enjoy your weekend, and this is all for me with the weather forecast. Now back to Minjang.
Let's now get you caught up on some global headlines we're following at this hour. For that, we'll connect to the news center where our Eunice Kim is standing by. Good morning to you, Eunice.
Good morning, Minjung.
As world leaders engage in another hectic day of diplomacy at the UN General Assembly meeting in New York City, the U.S.-led coalition against Islamic State militants seems to be picking up pace.
That's right. Following yesterday's unanimous adoption of a counter-terror resolution, individual states are now coming out to commit specific resources to the jihadist threat. Much of the declared support came from European nations who said they would back the effort in Iraq following its government's official call for help. And calling IS's cruelty medieval, UK's Prime Minister David Cameron promised he would push for Great Britain to join coalition airstrikes. His Parliament is set to vote on that later on this Friday. Belgium and the Netherlands have pledged F-16 jets, while Germany promised to arm Iraq's Kurdish Peshmerga forces with rocket launchers and machine guns. France has launched a second day of airstrikes against IS targets in Iraq, striking 4 hangars near the city of Fallujah, with the public beheading of a French national by radicalists in Algeria still fresh on their minds.
And now on the sidelines of that UN General Assembly meeting, one of the biggest topics world leaders are discussing is Ebola, another global threat that is really getting out of control.
Right. Health workers on the ground still very much saying Ebola is winning this fight. West African leaders are pleading for help as the WHO released another update saying now nearly 3,000 people have been confirmed dead due to Ebola infections. At a high-level UN meeting on the crisis, U.S. President Barack Obama said the world's response to the outbreak is still too little and too slow. This as UN Chief Ban Ki-moon said a 20-fold boost in aid is needed, as World Bank President Jim Young Kim said his group would nearly double its financing commitment to $400 million to get desperately needed staff and resources to the sites. And one of the hardest hit West African states, Sierra Leone, has sealed off another district in a desperate move to contain the epidemic, effectively placing some 1/3 of its populace under quarantine.
Wow, 1/3 under quarantine. They are in dire need of help. Hope they'll get some as soon as possible. All right, thank you, Eunice, for that.
Sure thing.
We'll shift gears later on in the program and talk about K-pop and K-drama fans, not just in Korea, but around the world as well. They follow their favorite stars on stage, on the road, and even online. Fan clubs are becoming an increasingly important element in Korea's Hallyu culture. We take a look at what it takes to be a part of a fan club and how they differ here and abroad.
Posture is an important factor in your well-being, and you may not feel it when you're young, but bad posture can and usually will affect you down the road. Now, recognizing the importance of the spine and how many illnesses can stem from it, Korean medicine doctor Yoo Hong-seok has been focusing solely on correcting spinal conditions with a therapy called bone fitting, and it involves hammering the spine.
Since mankind has started to walk upright, and with more people sitting at their desks for extensive hours these days, spinal problems have become quite inevitable. As the spine undergoes deformation, the nerves are pinched, leading to a variety of conditions. To help correct these problems, Korean medicine doctor Yoo Hong-seok has taken up a medical hammer instead of acupuncture needles. A patient who has long suffered from scoliosis has visited Dr. Yu.
I had MRI scans and X-rays taken at other hospitals, but they couldn't find the problem. I heard Dr. Yoo Hong-seok can treat problems that are not visible, so I'm here to receive treatment.
A healthy spine must be symmetric with the left and right side at the same height. Also, from the side, it must be a natural S shape. Scoliosis describes a condition in which the spine has curved to one side at more than 10 degrees, not only becoming a visible problem, but potentially leading to organ malfunctions. Scoliosis is normally treated with a brace or acupuncture, and when severe, with surgical treatment. But these measures focus more on relieving pain and preventing the condition from exacerbating, rather than treating the fundamental problem. Dr. Yoo Hong-seok, though, developed a new method of therapy called bone fitting back in 2007 that identifies the root cause of scoliosis and offers treatment.
Bone fitting therapy refers to a treatment that restores the autonomic nerve system, which has sustained damage from the deformation of the spine, and improves the blood flow to fundamentally root out the cause of the spinal condition.
The first step of bone fitting is securing space. Because spinal deformations stem from a spinal canal that has been narrowed down from external pressure, it's important to create space where the vertebral body can be corrected. Once the space is secured, a medical hammer and silicone correction stick are used to tap the spine back into place, which is the key process of bone fitting therapy.
The great thing about bone fitting therapy is that you see the results immediately, and it delivers universal results. Also, it removes the fundamental source of pain.
Along with these benefits, the procedure also does not require the use of machines. Using energy from the hands, Dr. Yu is able to identify the exact location of spinal distortion and correct it. His extensive experience and know-how has delivered outstanding results so far. According to the hospital's records, out of the some 3,000 patients who have received bone-fitting therapy, roughly 94% saw improvements in their conditions.
When I first came here, I couldn't breathe properly. My legs were really stiff, and I was struggling so much because of my back condition. But after about 6 sessions, I can breathe comfortably. My legs are doing much better, and I feel like if I continue, I'll get better. So I'm going to continue to come here and receive therapy.
Dr. Yoo Hong-seok continues to focus his efforts on spine conditions to provide better treatment options and find solutions for his patients.
Now, these days, you can get counterfeits for just about anything. Fake designer or luxury bag seems the most popular, and fake money as well.
Fake money, for sure. And there is apparently a new technology out now that can help win the battle against knockoffs. We'll find out more with our Seomi Sorang, who joins us right next to us. Good morning.
Good morning. And don't forget the fake documents as well, right?
Right.
Now, I'm sure you guys would agree, but some counterfeits, I mean, come on, you can tell that they're fakes from a mile away. You wonder why did they even bother, but when they're well made, it's quite hard to tell the difference with the naked eye. So, Comsco, that's Korea's minting organization, they've developed a new technology where they embed QR codes and images into documents and gift vouchers. Now, they're invisible to the naked eye, but when you scan over it with a smartphone application like so, the hidden images are revealed like these two fishes. So you can tell on the spot right then and there whether it's a fake or the real deal.
So does this mean that these images will be incorporated to all banknotes or high-profile documents that the Comsco prints?
Well, not only that, but Comsco said that they will share this technology with other private companies as well and make this special application free of charge. So we can expect to see it in more applications. Now let's see what else people are talking about online. iOS 8. It looks like Apple is still having some trouble with its latest operating system. So iOS 8 had some problems, so Apple released a patch for it, the iOS 8.0.1. But this one also had some problems as well.
I've heard about this. So what's wrong with it?
Well, there's a number of problems, but the biggest one is that it actually kills your internet connection on your devices. So Apple actually had to take this off of their iTunes and had to pull the plug on this update within an hour of its release.
That's why I couldn't find the iTunes, because I thought I was just
a bit late.
Tech illiterate that I am.
Well, there you go. That's the reason.
Maybe they'll fix it.
Now, recently there was a launch party for a plus-size magazine. It's Korea's very first plus-size fashion magazine. If we have a look at this video, it's actually called 66100, and it's the brainchild of a model called Kim Ji-young. She was actually Korea's very first full-figure model to appear in the full-figured fashion week over in the States, and she's widely regarded as the only Korean plus-size model to work in the international stage. She said that through this new magazine, she wanted to encourage a more diverse concept of what beauty is.
She is absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely stunning, isn't she?
Size is all.
Yeah.
So this magazine named 66100, what does it mean?
Well, 66, it's the Korean size for women and women's clothing, and it's the equivalent to a US 8 or a 10, while the 100, it refers to the men's clothing size, equivalent to a US 16, around about there.
It's about time something like this came out. I mean, people, especially women in Korea, they're tiny.
Yeah, and the ridiculous free size, which is like an XX small that nobody fits into. So we'll have a look at the next issue, our last issue of the day. Edible bugs. Have you guys eaten bugs before?
Not me.
No thanks.
Really? I'm the only one? I've had bugs when I was younger, the fried crickets. You guys?
Yeah. Apparently it's pretty yummy.
You guys are going to pretend that you guys didn't eat it?
No thanks.
Well, as you mentioned, many scientific bodies are now touting bugs as the protein source for the future. And a Korean organization, they've been working for the past 4 years on creating a more diverse spectrum of edible bugs for Korea, and they will present their latest findings in the upcoming Health and Food Forum.
I hope Well, not for you
Again,
guys.
no thanks.
I will
I've
go.
said no thanks 3 times now.
I might try.
I'll get you some, Ginger.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not for the bugs, but for the report.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, well, that was Misorang with our news sum up. We'll go back to our Chun Song-cho, who says that she has some unique performances.
Right, for the Korean athletes at the Incheon Asian Games. Let's go right over to our Chun Song-cho.
Back to you, Song-cho.
Good morning, guys, again. I'm reporting live from the 63 SeaWorld, located inside the 63 building in Yeouido. I'm here today because, yes, like you guys have mentioned earlier, I want to introduce to you 2 very special friends, and they are none other than, ta-da, Hee-dong and Maru. They're both SEALs, brothers in real life, and they want to show us some special performance to cheer for the Korean national team. So now you see Hee-dong playing some tricks and moves by in dressage, one of the equestrian games. So he was riding a horse, and dressage was one of the best played events in Incheon this year. And now he moves on to gymnastics, and now he is on the swing back and forth. Oh, he's doing such a great job. And yes, he goes out to the surface of the water to just get a grass, just take a couple of breaths. Oh, and now he's doing the 3-turn tricks. 1, 2, 3. Oh, he completed all the turns perfectly. Maybe he should name the technique after his name as well, like the Korean gymnast Yang Ak-sun. And now he moves on to the basketball. So he is following the trainer. The trainer is dribbling the ball, and now the trainer passes the ball to, yes, Hee-dong. And he dribbles all the way to score. Oh, he did it just in one time. He's such a professional. He's doing such a great job. And now he is moving on to rhythmic gymnastics. So there are all these other tricks that they have trained very hard for the past 3 months. They had to train very hard for 3 to 4 hours a day, every single day. And I can definitely tell by looking at their tricks and moves how hard they've been training for the past 3 months. So that was quite an incredible aqua performance performed by those 2014 Incheon Asian Games mascots. I'm sure all of you guys have been rooting for the Korean national team, which has been doing a very good job so far. So why not come out here this weekend and enjoy the performance by those 2 cute little marine friends. This has been Chun Song-cho, Korea Today.
Well, if I could certainly give them a gold medal to the SEALs for that interesting action that they did just now. But speaking of which, of course, we're going to continue on with our 2014 Incheon Asian Games coverage, starting off with the men's vault final, where South Korea's Yang Ak-sun faced off against North Korea's Lee Se-kwang for the gold medal. But in a shocking twist of event, Yang Ak-sun, who went with the Lopez instead of the Yang 2 in the second attempt, finished with a final average score of 15.200, while Hong Kong's Shek Wai-hung surprises everyone with a 15.216 average, beating the Olympic champion for the gold medal. Meanwhile, North Korea's Lee Se-kwang failed to make the podium as he finished fourth with a final average score of 14.799. Now, Thursday was a great day for South Korea as a couple of world records were broken on the day, and one of those world records were broken in the women's team compound archery event. Now, facing off against Laos, the South Korea women's compound team, which consists of Seok Ji-yeon, Choi Bo-min, and Kim Yoon-hee, scored a combined 238 out of a possible 240 points to shatter the previous world record of 236, which was set by the U.S. team back in 2011. Meanwhile, the team went on to beat Iran in the semifinal later on the day to advance to the final. Now, another world record was shattered on Thursday, this time over in the women's double trap event when 34-year-old Kim Mi-jin set a new world record en route to her gold medal finish. Now, with the women's double trap event being recognized for the first time by the International Shooting Sports Federation during the Incheon Asian Games, South Korea's Kim Mi-jin scores 110 points to set a new world record, giving her the gold medal. The world record score edges out China's Zhang Yafei, who scored 108 points, and Bai Yiting, who finished with the bronze medal with 107 points. And now shifting over to rowing, Kim Ye-ji added South Korea's second ever gold medal in rowing on Wednesday. But let's make that number 3 for Korea after Chi Yoo-jin added another gold medal on Thursday. Now, Chi Yoo-jin, competing in the women's lightweight single sculls event, finished first with a final time of 8 minutes 1 second, edging out Hong Kong's Lee Kam-man by 5.6 seconds. The first gold medal in rowing for Korea came in 2006 during the Doha Asian Games when Shin Eun-chul claimed men's single scull gold. Now, quite a busy day on Thursday with North Korea's Kim Eun-ju breaking the clean and jerk world record in the women's 75-kilogram weightlifting competition, adding to their impressive gold medal run in the sport. So before I say goodbye, let's take a look at how the medal standings look so far, and I'll see you guys again for your sports needs.
So every week we talk about celebrities, but for there to be celebrities, there needs to be fans and thousands or millions of fans for that matter. And today we're going to talk about fans with Danny Hong joining us in the
Millions.
Millions.
Millions of fans.
That's the number of fans.
Millions of fans.
No. But when it comes to, yes, you're right. You think about the celebrities as the flower, and you need to have the support, which is, of course, the stem. And so without this support, there cannot be any, well, celebrity
Yeah,
status.
there's no one watching. Then what's the point, right?
So I like to consider that something pretty, right? But when it comes to the fan support here in Korea, it's actually not just in Korea, but overseas as well, too. It gets rather intricate and large, right? Even back in 2008, we're shattering records here. Back in 2008, Dongbang actually had the most number of fans as recorded by the Guinness Book of World Records, which surpassed Elvis. And for me, that's almost heartbreaking because I'm from Memphis, and Elvis is
of course,
my hometown hero. But also, more recently as well, EXO, when they opened registration for their own fan site, 1.2 million people signed up in the first week.
Wow.
That's a lot, right?
First week.
Oh.
Okay, we're talking about like a fan base that's tremendous, and for some reason it seems that there's a stronger fan base for these Korean pop groups. If you look at the Billboard, they actually had sort of like a face-off type of thing, and a Korean group one too.
Yeah, well, in this case, there was actually a fan, well, I guess an army face-off battle that they did for Billboard, and beating Rihanna, Beyonce, Justin Bieber, as well as a whole bunch of other names, Big Bang. They actually won as the largest fan base for a group.
Wow.
And so that's something that obviously is kind of it's a more recurring thing. You can see this in more of our groups here. Even Girls' Generation was in that list too. But let's get a look at all the fan support and behind the scenes of how they support the stars. When it comes to celebrities, you cannot leave their fans out. They follow their stars to performances and also hit the road together, giving them full support. People of all ages, yes, and countries are lined up in the early hours of the morning. They're even here at Arirang TV to get a glimpse of their favorite stars at the show, Simply K-Pop.
My daughter is 21, and she helped me make this. We made it together. My daughter is also a 방탄소년단 fan.
Shows with a live audience give fans a golden opportunity to see their favorite celebrities up close. If they're lucky, they even get a time to chat with those stars, making those chances even more precious. Be it at their album releases or wrap-ups before going on hiatus, there are many more surprise events. Last winter, when girl group Spica was last on stage with its album At That Time, it bid its fans farewell with a special event. Now, there are so many ways to get close to your favorite stars, so why do people still sign up for fan clubs?
You can't sign up at any time. There are periods where you can, and usually it's divided up into first, second, and third season, depending on when the stars are active. When there are concerts, they allow fan club members to sign up in advance, and at live audience shows, they have seats set aside for fan clubs. So aside from regular seats, they will give the fan club 50 seats or something to that extent.
A lot of fans sign up because of these special perks. They are now even official jobs as fan managers, who mainly focus on keeping the fan club free from trouble among themselves and passing on presents from the members, acting as a bridge between the celebrities and the fans. There's a reason why management agencies invest more in fan management like this.
Wow, look at that crowd.
When K-pop singers put out new albums, fans start this project to get their stars to rank first on K-pop shows, usually by buying their albums or getting them high up on album charts. The management agencies, in return, hold fan autograph events or unveil more information on the new song, creating the right environment for their singers to get to the top.
When it comes to devotion to their fans and their stars, fans who are overseas play their part as well. It's not an overstatement to say that there are fans who created the Hallyu boom. From Myeongdong to Gangnam Station, along these bustling streets are messages for celebrities put up by their fans from overseas. There are companies who receive direct orders from these fan clubs to put them up for display.
These days, 5 out of 10 place inquiries from overseas. Some get in touch through online messenger, others via email in English. In the case of EXO's Luhan, we did the project for about $20,000.
Wow.
Wow.
That's one
quite a gift. It's also in their respective countries that overseas fans are active. Now, according to a survey, 986 Hallyu-related clubs exist in 78 countries as of last year. Now, they extend as far as countries like Brunei, Guatemala, and Tunisia. In Mexico, which is seeing a rising boom in Hallyu, large crowds like this from time to time gather on the streets. Activities to help them bond are just as common, if not more, than in Korea. There are also events they host to promote Korean culture and lead the drive in spreading Hallyu with dance competitions or street festivals. Celebrities have also become even more vocal about expressing their gratitude towards their fans. Fans always top the list of thanks when there's an occasion to celebrate. Stars handing out gifts for their fans has also become a common sight, creating a reverse culture in which celebrities are not always at the receiving end.
Like, you start feeling jung for the groups, like almost like attached to them. Like, so if you go to things a lot, it almost feels like, oh, what are they going to think if all of a sudden I don't show up? Like, are they going to notice? Like, I feel bad. It's almost a sort of responsibility you feel towards the group to be there and support them.
Wow. That's devotion.
Indeed. Now, thanks to this, fans and stars are able to bond on a more personal level.
항상 이렇게 매번 와주시고 정말 잊지 않고 사실 굉장히 기다려주시고 발도 아프시고 힘드실 텐데 정말 이렇게 와서 매번 기다려주시고 저희 정말 잠시 뭐 길지도 않아요. 한 10분? 20분 이렇게 보시다가 가시는데 정말 저희가 그 짧은 시간 내에 정말 저희가 뭔가 보여드리고 행복을 드릴 수 있도록 저희도 더 열심히 하겠습니다.
Celebrities and fans work together, creating a unique fan club culture in the country, which could be one of the driving forces behind the spreading of Korea's pop culture around the world.
These fan clubs overseas, they're really interesting. And because they're not based in Korea where the celebrities are, I'm thinking they operate a little differently from Korean fan clubs.
Well, in the case of not just, well, there's obviously the fan clubs for Korean pop singers, but also we have fan clubs for Korean dramas. And when it comes to the organization of it, obviously because they don't have the opportunity to go out on a regular basis to meet these individuals they follow, they do have different ways that they organize. And we actually, earlier this week, had a couple interviews online with a few of the leaders of several fan clubs. And so one of them, he's a founder of the London Korea Drama Fan Club. And this is Bryce Longnose talking about how they, I guess, work with the K-drama scene in London.
So I launched the club in April, actually a few months after there was Drama Fever, the first VOD platform for Korean drama in the UK that launched. I thought it was perfect timing in terms of promoting Korean dramas in the UK. And also more and more Korean dramas became popular in the UK, like My Love from Another Star last year. So those two elements made it relevant and exciting to start a club like this in the UK.
Now, these fan clubs overseas, they don't seem like a simple small gathering. They're becoming really systematic. How is the case overseas?
Well, in case of the London Korea drama that we just saw, now they have regular get-togethers, obviously because they could stream shows, both old and new. The older ones obviously have more subtitles, newer ones maybe a little bit more problematic, but they still have get-togethers where they talk about their favorite dramas. They're actually doing a award ceremony to figure out who is the most well-known or the favorite dramas among the fans. And so they are working towards that. But also when it comes to Europe, there are more involvement when it comes to even planning events. When you have organizers trying to get concerts together in the country, sometimes local knowledge is very important. And I think this is especially a case when it comes to Annyeong Europe. And one of the co-founders for that group, we have Alice Kavinsky talking about that herself.
Okay. Let's take a look at that.
Yes, of course. Especially recently, some concerts and tours have been canceled really abruptly, which has disappointed a lot of fans. And I really hope that in the future we could provide better communication so that such things don't happen again and K-pop can become even more popular in Europe.
Interesting.
Okay, so how do they facilitate communication? So how does this all work out? Is there some kind of a forum, or is there a way that they can all get in contact?
Well, obviously, when it comes to a larger group, they are more well organized and they have more staff members, right? And when it comes to Annyeong Europe, basically, when there's a concert that's going to be opening there, you'll often have agencies here in Korea bringing their artists over, contacting them in some way to ask them what the local market is like. And what they do, this fan club actually, is the one that tells them or gives them advice on when they should hold the event, where they should do it. And they also give them kind of an estimate on how many people would probably turn out because they have a more closer pulse on the situation. And so when it comes to that, sure. But also there's more events organized, and we actually talked to one more fan club organizer, Natalia Pak over in Brazil, who's involved with a group called 사랑인가요? So let's take a look at that one.
Have companies advertising in our website and social networks. We also have fund support from one of the Korean government institutions called Counterfeits. And plus we go around São Paulo's countryside and Brazil countrysides, and we sell Korean products like cosmetics and K-pop goodies and even the cute little socks Korean people have. And soon we'll be opening also an online shop for our 사랑인가요. So this will especially help support our website and all the people who are working on it, online and offline.
Okay, interesting. And those little socks sell like hotcakes, right?
Well, if you think about it, the larger group gets, the more you want to organize it. You have, web page managers, writers, video uploaders, and you also have PR managers. And so in this sense, they are becoming more organized. One's becoming more of a business, others are NPOs. And so you can expect more support from the fans as the time goes on.
And also Korean products also get the benefit of being known around the world. Thank you very much, Denny, for joining us.
No problem.
All right, for you fans out there of Korean pop music, we have the top 5 K-pop chart, and we'll be back with Matthew Chung.
All right, so this week we're back at Noryang Fish Market. It's been way too long. I've said time and time again that this is one of my favorite places. And this is one of my favorite times of the year because 꽃게. Now this guy, this is the 꽃게. It's a blue crab. And this time of the year, they're especially great because we can legally take them out of the water. So there's a reason why we love 꽃게 here in Korea. Because, of course, it's delicious, but really, it's one of the most versatile seafoods you can find. You can do just about anything with them. And you can't forget about gaejang. Now, the jang in gaejang is like the jang in kanjang, soy sauce. It's crab that's been aged in soy sauce, and it's just fantastic when it comes to just eating that with a bowl of white rice. And then there's kokgae tang. It's a soup. It's made with doenjang, with Korean red peppers, and all sorts of vegetables. And it's spicy and it's refreshing, and it just has this really deep crab flavor. In this case, we've just steamed some fresh crab. Simple, straightforward, nothing but the pure flavor of crab. Let's tear into a couple of these. Look at that. Oh. All right, so the crabs are just about ready, so let's pull them out into the ice water. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna be cooking outside. So we wanna do something simple, picnic dishes. So that's why we're on our rooftop of our restaurant right now. And we're gonna be putting together just a couple of simple dishes. One, we're gonna do a salad, another one, we're gonna do a sandwich. And the first thing you have to do, of course, is pick the meat from your crabs. All right, so there are a couple of tools you're gonna need for the job. One is a little crab picker. It looks like a little fork, essentially, just with two little tines at the end. And with this, you're just going to scrape out the flesh from the inside of your crab. First, we're going to start with some radishes. I'm just going to give a nice little slice. A couple of tomatoes. Now we're just going to chop a little bit of fresh dill. Then now for some dalle. These are garlic chives. And what's great is that you can eat them, roots and all, and the roots are really pretty. So we're going to keep them, and we're just going to use the ends for this recipe. And then finally, just a couple of simple baby greens. I want to fluff them up, so just separate them out just a little bit. So, a couple of baby greens. And at this point, just add your crab meat. Now we're just going to toss a little bit of olive oil, and then a little bit of hot mustard. Then some salt and some pepper. So now you just want to toss it all lightly. You don't want to be too rough at this point because you want to keep that crab meat nice and whole. All right, so we're going to take some really nice mini cos lettuce. All right, and then just place that just like so. And there we go. This is just a little potato roll. This is something that we bake here in-house at the restaurant. So we're just gonna cut it right open. Cream cheese, it's got a nice tanginess to it. So that's gonna really work well with our crab. All right, so peel here to open. So we're just thin layer right on the bottom. All right, so to this, we're just gonna add a little cucumber. On goes our crab. A little chopped red onion. And a little bit of bacon. Now, with this bacon, you're gonna wanna get it nice and crispy. No soggy bacon here. And then at the very end, let's put on just a little bit of picked thyme. And then to the other side of the bread, we're gonna put on a little bit of our bagna cauda sauce that we make here at the restaurant. There are a couple of reasons why I love this time of the year. September is one of my favorite months. It's crab season. The weather, absolutely gorgeous.
And there are the blue crabs right there, all nice and steamed. And Matthew Chung joins us. I would have liked the sandwiches too, but this is good enough for me.
Good enough, yes.
Right, I mean, this is kind of nice. First thing in the morning, get a nice little clean hit of protein. And, so I just wanted to, let our viewers know in terms of, what does crab season mean exactly. So, you talk about in the spring, kokge are fantastic because that's the time of the year where the female crabs, they're fullest of, that nice sweet roe.
Okay, let's get a look at that. This is the meat here. And it's just so big. These are a lot bigger than the male crab. The female crabs.
That's right. So, these are the male crabs, and this is their time of the year to shine. So, while, being male, of course, they don't have any eggs, they are full of meat. And this is the time of the year where they're the biggest, where they're the fattest, they're the plumpest.
Right, and these scissors are so interesting because they look like one side is missing. What's up with this? How do you use this?
So this one, so you take this blade right there and you kind of hook it right into the shell. And this works best with the legs, and it just helps crack them right open.
Right, wow, interesting.
Well, we have the tools and we have the crabs. All we need are some napkins. Thank you, Matthew, for joining us. Thank you for the crabs.
No problem.
We'll close the show with these crabs, these tiny little crabs.
We have dessert too?
Right. Thank you so much for watching.
And thank you to our producers for a perfect Friday. We'll see you back here on Monday morning at 7 a.m.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.